Hello, everyone.
Hello,
Welcome
everyone.
back to, hi, Marty. Welcome back to No One is Perfect, where we talk about the real, messy human parts of our life that everyone experiences because we're human. Today, we are going to talk about triggers, and we're going to talk about our relationship to a trigger and then noticing of when a trigger happens, what can happen in the body is we go back in time
Oh,
because the body doesn't understand time. So let me give you an example. I had a client come in the other day. She comes in and she said, Christy, my belly hurts so bad. It's so bloated. And and then she said, I feel like I'm 5 years old again. I said, well, what happened? And she'd been in a fight with her best friend, and her best friend said something that triggered her, and she went all the way back to feeling like she was five and being chastised by her friend. And then what started to happen is her body felt like it was in danger. And she started looping and telling her story about what happened 20 years ago and making it bigger and bigger. And so it became a massive snowball in the space of 2 hours. And what starts to happen then is it's very difficult if you're not aware that you're in a trigger from the past. It's very difficult to stop the loop that happens in the brain. And so our conversation today is, okay, how do we do that? And I would also say, why does that happen? There is a term called the SubSoma loop, and that's our unconscious mind, which is our body. We start thinking about something and the body's reacting to our thoughts. So if we go over a story that happened 20 years ago, sometimes 50 years ago, the body doesn't know that that's not today. And all the cortisol, all the stress hormones start to come out. And then we're in a full blown trigger of sometimes shutdown, sometimes rage, sometimes disassociation. So our conversation today is going to be really understanding how this loop happens and then bringing some resources to awareness and choice and regulation. Hi, Marty. This is a great call today.
hi, Christy. Yeah, very happy to be here. No, it's funny. We always chat before we start these, and it's sometimes we have a topic picked out ahead of time. Sometimes we chat, and there it is. And so we were having this conversation today, and it's so true. It's the relationship to the trigger.
Mhm.
And because when we pay attention to what is our relationship to the trigger, then I believe we stop abandoning the self. But it's also not to make ourselves wrong for all the times that we do abandon the self. Because when you're triggered, you're triggered. In the tapping world, they call it the amygdala hijack. So the
Yeah.
amygdala, the little, it's the little navigator. What's going on? Where's the danger? Where's the danger? Literally gets hijacked, and then you're just off. Like you said, you're time traveling. So we go back to that place where, and like you said, then the body takes you. And I mean, I had this is where we talked about, I just had this happen over the last couple days where it's like, whoa, I'm in a trigger. And to
Yeah.
notice I got to give myself my feelings and not try to spiritually bypass it and kind of keep going in what's going on for me, which is not that easy to do when you're triggered, is to go back to what do
No.
I think? What do I feel? What's happening for me? Where do I feel this in my body? What does this remind me of? And then those are like to me very self-evaluative questions, like what's happening for me here and where is this taking me to? And I think it's when we come from that, it's just so we stay more present with the self. Because I notice this too, Chrissy, I get more sad, grief, and despair, I realize that when I'm abandoning myself, not aware that I'm abandoning myself, but I'm like, I'm not giving that triggered child in me the attention she needs or the parenting that she needs.
Yeah. And Marty, it's important, like those questions, I think are almost impossible to ask when we're in a triggered state
Yes.
because our brain doesn't work. That is the hijack. And at the end of the podcast, we will go through some resources about that. But I think the most important part today is to notice what a trigger feels like. And feeling also means, well, I don't feel anything. So let me be super clear, because sometimes people will say, I don't know, I don't feel anything. That's also can be a trigger.
Oh gosh, and it's so funny, Christy. That's so in the EFT world, when someone says, I don't know, it can mean, often strongly suggest it's something that happened before we had words, meaning when
Mm,
we didn't have the verbal capability to speak about what was happening to us. So it can go way
yeah.
back and things that we don't have like a cognitive memory of. Yeah.
Yeah. And so understanding when you get triggered, like today, and I'll have you walk us through the story because I think a real story about something that's present is the
Yeah.
best way to begin, Marty. And then
Oh
we
God,
can
yeah.
pull some of the pieces together.
Absolutely. And I just made a really, I had a little bit of a cognitive shift there. I thought, so just a little background, because I go back to like when I was 6 months old, my parents were hit head on by a drunk driver. And I have no memory of that. Both my parents were hospitalized. They both survived, but my mom was hospitalized for over a year. She went through the windshield. And um, I've learned a lot about the trauma of pre-verbal trauma. And so I often go back to the abandonment piece. And all of a sudden I was
Mhm.
like, oh, here it is. That person is here. That person is part of your life. That person's available. You're like co-creating in something. And then all of a sudden it's like, whoa. It just feels like it changes like that. So the shock also in tapping, the shock is the thing that most people want to avoid. So that's my background. And I just made that, oh, that's what happened. Like all of a sudden there's aspects of abandonment here. There's aspects of the shock to the system and getting shocked a couple times, like, oh, I've just calmed down and like, whoa, it comes again, which happened again this
Yeah.
morning. Like I was all peaceful, calm when I came back from my I read like a text and I'm like, whoo, back in it. And then what do I do in that moment? I will tell the story. I go directly and have this conversation with this person and I'm like, I'm not really sure what I'm understanding here, but I'm aware of that I abandoned myself to a degree and then had to kind of pull myself back to myself. Um, so the story is I foster, as you know, I am definitely I've have my last foster. I'm very, very clear about this. I will continue to help dogs find homes, but I have 4 dogs, 3 cats myself. So I have a foster that was adopted. And then the adopter basically told me quite like that, I'm done. I can't do this. And I was like, whoa, wait, what? So the way it works is in the world that I'm in is when you pull through a rescue, the dog goes back to the rescue. Well, I don't own the rescue, but I pull through the rescue, so the dog goes back to me. And I
Yes.
love the dog, and I want to make ensure that she ends up in a good home, and that could take some time. But it's all of a sudden I was like, wait, what? This has been a few months of nurturing that's been going on and like co-creating with this and like easing this into it, feeling like this is the best possible scenario. And then all of a sudden to have that change and to feel the response, even though, I could push it, but no, because ultimately the way it works is she comes back to me. And so it's that being responsible. And now this thing's dropped back in my lap and my mind just spins. What am I going to do? How am I going to do this? Oh, I got to get the
Mhm.
crate. Oh, I got to like all this stuff and the life change and this and that. And so my mind spins, and then I noticed I was pissed. I mean, I went through the gamut of emotions, and then the I ended up in grief.
Mhm.
And that's where I was like, that's and I feel this, like feel chills about that's grief that I felt, that the body felt as a 6 month old before I had words. Here it is, and now it's gone like that. So anything like that that happens for me that's just gone like that. There's a relationship that's intact, and then it's like I so see like, oh, I time travel back to that. And I don't have, like I said, any conscious memory of it, but I know that like it's the knowingness, like, oh, that's what this is about. What's the saying? And I don't really like the saying, new level, new devil. I don't really like the
I
devil
heard that
thing, but
one, but
it's
yeah,
it's a deeper level of that profound thing. And I've had other things, but um and one other thing I want to say about this is the key to me is to always remind myself, am I reducing the frequency of things like this happening? That is actually true. Am I reducing the intensity? I would say the intensity, it feels, oh, when you're in it.
right.
But am I reducing the duration? Absolutely. So the frequency, yes, the duration, the intensity is intense, but the duration of it is less and less and less. And that's good.
Well, I think that's the key is how long are you going to stay in it? Because at some point, I do think there is a choice point of, especially if it goes on for 5 to 10 days to a year to
Oh,
2 years,
yeah.
because that can happen.
Oh,
And
yeah. This
then,
is 3 days.
yeah, and which I think is relevant because you were able to be in it, acknowledge it, and also you said you have a session tomorrow to also resource yourself. But the bigger piece is to notice that you were in it.
Oh, yeah.
And because those are the moments that I think allowing yourself to be upset is important.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
saying the thing is important and expressing it to someone. And then, Marty, what I heard you say is, okay, now I'm going to take care of myself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Be
Absolutely.
because you have a relationship with the trigger.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's that is that, it's kind of like the infinity loop of the dancing in and out of our nervous system and noticing when we go into those aspects that we feel like we can't control or we're out of control. And we can notice them and then we can slow down or
Right.
tap, which you've done a lot of tapping, slow down and do some breath. There's like even a butterfly tap this way, which I've seen you do, and some breathing helps to regulate the vagus nerve in the body. It helps to slow the mind down. It doesn't make the trigger go away. That's not the point.
Yeah.
It's to create a relationship with your own self. So when you get triggered, you have different ways to come back to self.
Absolutely. And it definitely helps reduce the intensity so that eventually it's like, oh, like the dam broke. Now it's like, oh, it makes sense. And then like in the tapping world, then there's that cognitive shift. I'm like, oh, that's what this is about. And I know enough about astrology to be dangerous, but I was listening to this astrology call and she said we're now headed into Chiron, which is the wounded healer. So the wounded
Oh,
healer is very much about past coming into the present to be healed. And I'm like, welcome. And that's, but I do what I that's what I love about this, Christy, is because we're in it, in the thick of it,
yeah,
and living it.
yeah,
And instead of this idea like I've got to totally have it all together, we talk about this all the time. Like, no, not ever. I mean, some days I'm more secure than others. Some days things bother me less. Some days things roll off me. Other days I'm like, "Whoa." But I keep coming back to and continue to I remind myself of this because it's something I teach all the time is the judgment of self.
yeah.
How much am I judging myself for this? And that's the place to begin instead of like, well, of course I'm triggered. Of course, it's
Right.
okay to feel the way I do. Of course, I'm going to run the gamut of emotions. And of course, I'm just going to give myself the space, not wallow in it and get lost in it, to your point, but like fully process the emotions. And that's why I was like, no, I gotta book myself a session too, because it's tomorrow, which is really helpful. And I love that I have that, let's call it safety net in place to, because I
Yeah.
can get myself to a pretty good place, but it's like the other set of ears is so helpful. I mean, the people I've always seen in the tapping world that have the most success is you tap on your own, and then when something really happens, you tap with a practitioner to help
Yeah.
you move through it. So,
Well, there's been quite a bit of various research by different people who study trauma. Thomas Hubel being one of my most favorite people, in that he talks about healing happens in community and community is with another, because it's being witnessed in what happened without having anyone fix it or tell you what to do or give their opinion. That's not helpful.
no.
But to be witnessed in the emotion that moves up and out of the body so the
Yeah.
body doesn't hold it and create containment.
Yeah.
And then the charge literally moves. And usually what happens is tears, like you said, grief, and sometimes rage first
Yeah.
and
Oh,
then
yeah. It's
tears.
always rage first with me.
Yeah. And I was thinking when you were saying that, I was doing a mentoring for my psychosomatic course, and we were talking about different faces and how each one of us process a trigger differently. So you and I are so opposite in this, because I have a little tiny chin, you have a stronger chin. And I was saying it takes me a good week, 7 to 10 days, and then I can process or say whatever it is. And we were laughing because a friend of mine's in that. She's like, Christy, I've known you for a long time. And I used to be so irritated by that, because
Oh.
she said you would get upset with me and then you wouldn't, you weren't able to tell me for a week. And then I'm like, well, it was over a week ago. And I said, yes, because how we process are very
Is
different.
different. Yeah.
And to understand, I understand that about me.
Yeah. It's
And
so right.
that's the
Self-knowledge.
important part. Yeah. And understanding without judging that my nervous system needs a few days to settle down before I can handle it.
Yeah.
Or
It's
yours is
so
right in the
true.
moment.
It's so
But
true.
as long as we know, oh, that is how I work and that's okay. I don't need your permission. You don't need my permission of how I do that.
Yeah. God, Christy, that's so true. It makes me think of years ago, I had a boss and he was an NYPD like motorcycle cop, but moved to Albuquerque because he had an accident and he retired from that. And then we were working together in the corporate world, and he was a sales manager. And then a really good friend of mine, we became good friends working together. And one day, him and I are talking. He goes, well, you know her. She gets upset. It's the 3-day rule. She's not going to be able to, like, she's going to be mad at you for 3 days. And then all of a sudden, like on the fourth day, you're like, oh, she's fine. So we were laughing about that. And then I tell my friend this, and she goes, wait a minute, wait, look, well, what about that thing that just happened? Like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It is 3 days. And she was able to laugh about that and go, yeah, I was mad for 3 days. And then all of a sudden it's like, so I think the knowledge of self is it's just so good to know that. And again, to not make someone wrong for it. I'm a verbal processor, so I process by talking. Like my daughter, very internal processor. She's more like her dad that way, just very internal, keeps it in. And then all of a sudden, when she's ready to talk about it, it's like, who put a quarter in you? Then she can talk away. But her process is to go inward first. And again, one's
Yeah.
not better than the other, one's not wrong, you know. I mean, and
No,
to
and the only thing that matters is what is yours.
exactly,
I
exactly.
do think it's helpful to understand, which is why I love psychosomatics so much with the faces. I do think it's helpful because we get such tunnel vision and get irritated with people because they don't process like we do or in the time frame we think is appropriate. That's so not on the person, that is on you.
It's so true. Instead of like, I mean, I had to learn that with my husband, that abandon. We got to work this out. We got to talk about it right now. I'm not going to be okay if we don't. And he's the opposite, like, I need space. And then it was like, I've learned to be able to, like, he needs space. I can
Yep.
still get hooked now and then and go back into that. But again, it rarely happens anymore now. But when it does, sometimes I swan dive back into it. But then all of a sudden it's like,
Mhm.
okay, now I can walk away. But it took, it takes time to understand that because, you could go to attachment styles and anxious attachment, like, let's
Yeah.
talk it out. And the other one's avoidant attachment. I can't talk about this. But to like, I just always have to come back to not make yourself wrong for it, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And be aware and be aware and be aware.
And be aware. And there's such truth to, as cliche as it sounds, awareness is the first step. It is.
It is. How else do you change
Yeah.
your relationship if we keep bringing it back to self more than other? How else do you change it if you don't know what you do, how it
Yeah.
feels? And that's where, even addictions, we feed them because of this very thing. So if your first go-to is to like eat chocolate and drink soda or smoke or go shopping, if you're aware that you're in it, you can be consciously in it and it will move through its course and then move out. But
Absolutely.
we do have to ask, and that's a big part of this podcast today is what happens in me when I get triggered? What does my system do? What's my patterning? For me, mine is certainly to disappear and isolate. And then I'll have a conversation, which is just how I process, where
Yeah.
you're
And
exactly the opposite.
oh my God, Chrissy, like I hear that and I'm like, God, I wish I could do that sometimes. But I'm like, I mean, it's like, and my sister is a lot like you too. She's very quiet, very internal. I'm like, I'm gonna pop if I don't talk. I'm just gonna pop. I'm gonna blow up. I'm gonna self-implode.
And Marty, that's all good.
Yeah, it's just like there it is. Pooh.
Well, and you being able to give yourself permission to do that
Oh
helps you move
yeah.
through the trigger.
It's so true. I know I've said this a million times, but like even with my husband now, after all this time together, Mark, can you not go into full wombat mode when I tell you what I'm about to tell you?
Oh, he's learned, hasn't he?
I'm not sure, but let's try it.
I see that as really healthy personally.
Yeah, no. I mean, I do, I am grateful that I'm like there because I see that I can get I don't, I have an intense processing time, but I don't have necessarily a very long duration of processing
Yeah.
time because it's just so painful. I'm like, I gotta be dealing with this right now. Like I'm in such pain. So,
Yeah. Well, that's the beautiful part though, Marty.
yeah,
It is. And
exactly.
I think most people get to, like the client I was talking about, we sometimes like that's a mental pain that I'm hearing you talk about. And what happens with some people is they'll have a somatic pain, could
Oh,
be, anxiety, not being able to breathe, insomnia, diarrhea, constipation, like all of these pieces where the organs literally contract and they don't move until we move it out.
right, right. So true. It's so
Or it
true.
moves out on our bodies.
Oh,
You could
yeah.
get like in the past, you've talked about, that's why I'm bringing this up, rashes and hives. That's a somatic response to internal fire,
I rock the rashes.
but not anymore,
No, I mean,
right?
every
You
now and
used
then
to.
I'll get like a little bump, itchy. Oh, there's a little bit itchiness on my spine. Okay. But like, I mean, not the whole like, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you've learned to move your own fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I certainly learned mine takes a little bit longer to move, but it does
Yeah.
move now. And that's helpful because I know I can work through whatever comes.
I just think of funny things like with my husband because, my dad, this isn't funny, but my dad was a war veteran, had very serious PTSD back when they had no idea what it was. So we all grew up around that. But Liam and I joke about how I get Tourette's. I mean, trust me, he does too. He's a fireball too. But it's
Yeah,
like,
he is.
like, I'll get Tourette's and then I'm just like, it's like, oh, like it's coming out. And when I was years ago, I used to take a baseball bat to a mattress because for me, it's such a physical feeling. It's so like, that's why I encourage people that have more, let's say, process like I do, pace when you tap because you're getting the body involved. Like, I can't tell you
Yeah,
how many times hike and just like it just helps. For me, it really helps process that energy and move it.
it does. And that's the key is moving physically in your body or humming or singing to loud music
Yeah,
or whatever that is to come out of the head and the story that
right.
keeps spinning and into
Yeah.
your body.
Yeah. And I follow someone who's very big on breaking coconuts. Like get a
Oh,
coconut and
yeah.
like break it or go to Goodwill, get some really cheap dishes and just frickin' slam them into a trash can. I've never done, I think I did a coconut once, but I was like, no, I could see this utter satisfaction in that. Like,
Works. And
yeah.
I've had like, there's a place here in Salt Lake City that you can pay to go to for an hour and break plates or hit things or
Oh,
yell, whatever
wow.
that is. They're called rage rooms for that
Oh,
very thing because they know that that helps the nervous system regulate again. And
yeah.
it's safe. You're not breaking anyone's stuff. They
Right.
clean up the mess. I love that plan.
Oh, yeah, I could do a salad spinner sometimes, but I'm just like, I get really rigorous with the salad spinner turning. And I'm like, I'm just dispelling some energy.
And then bless your food after.
Exactly. God bless you. Totally.
Well,
Yeah.
it's such a good example.
Yeah.
And there isn't a person alive that doesn't get triggered. We all
Right,
do. And
right.
it can teach us so much about there again, that our relationship with self and how we abandon or how we
Right.
rescue, how we might freeze or shut down or war and fight.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, of
To
course,
be
we're going to get
curious
triggered.
about it.
Yeah.
Of
So
course.
true.
I mean, all you have to do is look at your phone, let alone another human being, because there's so much now that I think that's part of the important piece of unplugging.
Yeah.
So we can continue to foster and develop what is it to be with me?
Yeah.
What is that? And you hike. I like to go to the gym and lift weights, like those kind of things. And I don't like anyone with me. I like to just do that because it helps me process
Yeah.
and move my body.
Yeah, I was thinking of this movie. It's an old movie, Night Shift with Michael Keaton. In fact, I gotta go watch it again. And Henry Winkler. And Michael Keaton's
Oh,
this
I
like,
loved him.
oh my God, crazy dude. Like he reminds me of Liam. It's like he'll dive off the top platform. Oh, wait, is there water in the pool? That's Liam. And Henry Winkler's this very buttoned up, and then you see the transformation, like the character arc in both. That's why I love movies, the character arcs. They're
Yeah.
so cool. And all of a sudden, Henry Winkler, he's just takes stuff all the time, takes it, takes it, takes it. And he's finally and the scene's amazing where he takes his sand, he goes into this deli. They always give him the wrong sandwich. They put mustard on it when he doesn't want it. This part stands out. He opens it up, he goes, I have asked for no mustard. And then he takes the top loaf and he just slides it down the wall. And it's just this hilarious scene where he's coming into his giving himself his truth having been
Yeah.
someone that was so shut down for so long. And
Mhm.
it's so, I just thought, wow, what a testament to that. And I often think of as women Two, the be nice, be pleasing, be kind,
Mhm.
be this, and to learn to like unhook from that, you know.
Yes, and it's important to know what is your hook,
Exactly.
right? Because that's easy to say, I think, Marty. Um, it's more challenging to understand
Oh,
when you're hooked or what are your hooks
right. Exactly.
and
Which is,
what do they feel like and what do they sound like? Because sometimes it will go into blame. Why does this always happen to me?
oh,
Um,
so
so and
true.
so always. We start using language like
Yeah,
always and never, very absolute language when we're in a trigger.
right, right.
But if
Yeah.
you're
I
not
feel
aware,
betrayed, that
yeah.
thing. And
Well, and
then,
I think of Henry Winkler, that's a really good example. For how many years did he get mustard on his sandwich? And in his head, he's like, that asshole, he did it again. Like
yeah,
it's a projected piece outward until finally there's enough explosion internally. There's a lot of people like that, and he wipes the mustard down because his system couldn't take it anymore.
exactly. Yeah,
What is your system needing? And this is a question I would ask everyone to ask themselves. What am I needing when I feel like for Henry Winkler, when I feel not heard or not seen?
yeah,
And how could I support myself to speak up? And or maybe how could I support myself to not want to kill the person on the other side of the thing making my sandwich? Both are on
right.
the same spectrum.
Absolutely.
And one
Yeah.
isn't better than the other. They're just different ways and to for us to stay curious
Mm-hmm.
of our responses, our reactions, and work from that space. And it gets less and less, just like you said in the
Yes.
beginning of the story. Instead of it being a week, it's been what, a couple days,
Yeah.
a day, and you're getting a session tomorrow. It'll probably be gone tomorrow once you process through it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And
That is the work.
it is. It absolutely is. And and the thing that I notice about it so much now is how conscious I am. Like,
Yeah.
oh, there it is. There I'm feeling victimized, which is fine. I mean, we all have a victim in us, and
Mhm.
it's like, okay, let that reparent that little kid. Of course you feel victimized. It's okay. There's nothing wrong about that. And give that child their truth. And then from that, then you can move through it.
Yeah. Well, that's resourcing the child in us, which we all have.
Yes.
And there again, it's so important to know, especially in relationship, when the child is showing up versus the adult in us showing up.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's interesting today too, when I was talking to my husband about what was happening, and then I just started to cry. And I
Mhm.
could actually really let myself cry because I tend to like not do that so much. And what was awesome about it is, and I just said, "Can I have a hug?" And he came over, he gave me a hug, and it was great. We had such a like great talk about it, talking about like the things that there it is, the shared experience. And then he's talking about
Yeah.
himself and how the same stuff shows up for him and the addiction to chaos and all that stuff. And it was like, yeah, oh, I get it. And in that moment, I said to him, thanks so much
Mhm.
for being able to hear this and be present with me for it. When I asked for a hug, you were able to do that. And that's huge. It's huge.
Yeah. It's such a gift to another person to be able to do
Yeah,
that and slow
absolutely.
down out of your own stuff and just be present.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds easier than it is
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
because, and I say that you and I both work with a lot of people and um, we can have great intellectual conversations. However, the practice of this, you and I both practice it. And I want everyone to know that this isn't as simple as it sounds.
Not at all. I mean, not at all.
It's a practice.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I definitely would say it was probably yesterday. Yeah. I was like, that if I would use this term, like the funk took over me, like, and the
Yeah.
mind was swirling. And I was just, I was also not trying to make myself not feel that way. I really
Mhm.
was just sitting with it and letting it be what it was to experience it. And then a couple times or whenever I needed to, I would tap, but just like to actually sit and honor it,
Yeah,
and be like, there's nothing to fix here. Just feel it.
that's
Just,
a beautiful segue into some
yeah.
tapping, my friend.
Right. Yeah. So let's do it and think about like if you're triggered, and we'll just follow along karate chop, even though I'm
Okay.
so triggered and I don't know what to do with this. I think I feel a bit lost. I choose to acknowledge this truth right now. Oh, I'm so triggered. I feel like I need to fix this. What if there's nothing to fix here? What if it just needs to be felt? Even though feeling fully, that's a huge deal. To really feel fully. I don't think I have that much practice at that. I choose to honor my truth right now. I'm just so triggered. I go from angry to sad to enraged to fearful to panicked. I'm all over the spectrum. And boy, am I feeling fully. And that doesn't mean this is comfortable. Because a lot of times this all feels so forbidden. But what if the truth is the best gift I can give myself is to feel fully? So I can learn to set myself free. And that is a forever journey. It's not this imaginary finish line that I'm someday going to cross over and I'm going to have it all together. No, it's day to day, sometimes minute by minute, and moment by moment. And the gift I want to give myself is to make that all okay. And what if by learning to make it all okay, it starts to dissipate because I'm actually allowing the emotions to be felt and completed. And what if that gift helps me move through it with more ease? And take a breath.
Beautiful, Marty. I'm just going to add a little piece on there as you're sitting after the tapping to take your hands. And how I would like you to breathe is into the back of your throat. So if you open your mouth just a little bit and you'll breathe in and then blowing out like you're clearing or cleaning glass, blowing on glass. So you'll leave your mouth open and then tap and really feel your breath and breathe into your throat because it tightens when we get angry or triggered. Feel your lung capacity expand and breathe out as you say, it is safe to be in my body. It is safe to be in my body, and feel the tapping. And one last thing, big deep breath through the throat again. Feel your lungs expand and breathe out. And as you tap, imagining that little self in you that once was little, as you tap, it's safe to be in my body. The adult in me has the little one in me. And I am well aware of the trigger. I'm well aware of the fear, the sadness, or the anger, and I've got you. That is the practice. That is the practice. So be patient with that.
That was beautiful. Feels so soothing. So soothing.
Mhm. Yeah, life is lifing, and
Well,
we are here to support each other in that process.
absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks, Christy.
Yeah.
Always great to see you.
Thank you, Marty. Hope that little doggy finds a home.
She will, and she's got a home until she does, so that's good.
Yeah, a very good home.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Please like and share the podcast um, as a resource to someone who might need this today. So
Yep.
thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.